Tonight on Joy News Prime, electricity transmitter GRIDCO cites overloaded transformers, ongoing upgrades to transmission infrastructure, and the shutdown of the Bui Dam as the main factors accounting for the unannounced blackouts in Greater Accra and Greater Kumasi.
These interruptions are not only due to problems within the transmission network. As a customer, you are connected to the distribution network. ECG is connected to the transmission network. Any break in this link can result in a power outage.
Though electricity consumers will have to endure the outages for a while, officials are confident it will only be for a few more months.
From Tema to Accra and
the electricity company, however, says residents in Kumasi will have to endure until December.
We are working very hard with GRIDCO to solve the problems by the end of this year. Therefore, we seek the cooperation of all our cherished customers and the public.
Also in this bulletin, scientists and the academia make a strong push for passage of research and innovation fund to end dependence on other countries for medical and scientific solutions.
But you can't do it without the African governments. African governments must devote more and more resources.
Health workers are meanwhile appealing to the public to refrain from activities this Easter that could result in another spike in the country's COVID-19 cases.
When you're coming to work, you are thinking in case you do something, you get infected. So we are all.
Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Kortey and Accra Metropolitan Assembly engaged traders ahead of Make Accra Work project to address the numerous challenges the region is confronted with, including sanitation and hawking on the streets.
We are taking steps to decongest the streets to allow free flow of vehicles and traffic.
And later in this bulletin, commuters who ply the Accra-Aflao highway lament what they say is a chronic vehicular congestion at the Kpong barrier. They say needs to be addressed as soon as possible.
But I think that a simple traffic light at this junction will solve the problem, but it's never happened. I've lived here for about 4 years.
There are some suggestions as to what could be done.
The government ought to arrange and have an independent road that would deal with like a slip, a lay-by, or a bypass.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Joy News Prime comes to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Remember, this is your home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. Do stay tuned in. Many thanks for choosing us. The erratic electricity supply situation experienced in Accra and Winneba should be considerably resolved by the end of July this year, by which time power transmitter GRIDCO would complete its upgrade. Addressing a news conference Thursday, GRIDCO explained the shutdown was due to low levels and another challenge, the electricity supply system, which is also being tackled. There have been numerous complaints in recent weeks by consumers who say the rolling blackouts are causing a lot of grief. We'll bring you that sound shortly. Director of System Operations at GRIDCO, Mark Ewaba, explains why consumers are having to suffer the outages. According to him, these outages have been caused by tripping off transmission lines, which once led to a total nationwide blackout, excessive demand outstripping supply, and then the shutdown of the Bui Dam, but promised the situation will improve in a matter of months.
Currently, we are constructing the Pokwasi substation, the Kaswa substation. These two substations are being funded under the Millennium Challenge. Compact Tube projects. So MIDA is managing that funding for us. So you have Pokwase and Kaswa. And then we have projects that are being funded by AFD, Agence Française de Développement. And they are financing major transmission line projects from Tema to Accra and to Malam. We believe that by June, July, when all these projects are being completed, Ghanaians will now enjoy reliable power. But in order for them to be completed, the contractors on these projects have requested for outages. Because as they build, they have to connect it to the current system. So it is just like maybe you've invited an electrician to your house to come and fix some problem, and he comes and says, "Sir, madam, I have to switch off the mains for safe working space. Otherwise, somebody could die." And then madam could say that I'm preparing jollof, so I'm going to blend some tomatoes, so give me 30 minutes. It is the same thing in the larger grid. The contractors have asked for outages between now and July in order to complete the projects. We are talking of 330,000 volts. In our house, we have only 240 volts, and that can even kill. So they will be coming to us to request these outages. And when this happens, we grant them this outage. It means that some of us will have to go off. We are now working with ECG on the quantum of these outages and how long it will take. And we are also discussing with the contractor to, as much as possible, minimize the duration so that we will have the minimum impact of outages on customers.
He explains there's a peculiar challenge in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, which requires the relocation of the Ameri power plant to the region. According to Mr. Ban, the closure of the Bouygues Dam, which is the only power plant in the central enclave due to its low-level water, bringing all the energy demands from across the country to bear on the plants down south.
During the evenings, peak hours, when the voltages are so low, sometimes we've resorted to taking off some feeders, particularly in Kumasi, in order to prop up the voltages. So you will have Kumasi continue to experience this outage situation. So we've noted that inherent problem, and there was a partial solution to it, whereby we moved one transformer from Accra to Kumasi. I'm saying partial because that is not the entire solution. There are also bottlenecks within the network in Greater Accra region, where our substations get overloaded. So once in a while, you see overloads and then interruptions. Let me also add that these interruptions are not only due to problems within the transmission network. When you are in your homes, as a customer, you are connected to the distribution network. ECG is bringing power to you. ECG is connected to the transmission network because power is coming through Gridco. And Gridco is bringing all the power from the generating companies. So between you in your homes or in your factories and the generating companies, you are actually physically linked. Any break in this link can result in a power outage.
But in all of this, Gridco says it will not publish a timetable for the planned outages until it's necessary. Here's Chief Executive Officer of Gridco, Jonathan Amoako-Bang.
I believe that when my Director of System Operations was speaking, and I also added my words to it, that when the time comes, we would inform Ghanaians. Currently, what we are doing, we have to be sure, because we cannot go and take off power and do nothing. We have to be sure of the time and the extent. So we are liaising with the contractors. Not only the contractors, ECG is also involved, MIDA, who is the project funding agency is also involved. We are dealing with all these people to come up with a comprehensive timetable. And this timetable, as we said, is only for Accra and Winneba. It is not a nationwide thing. It is only for Accra and Winneba. Let's get that right, so that we don't go and say that there's a national timetable for load shedding or doom or whatever it is. That is not the case. This is the timetable which they are asking for outages in order to complete the works for the system to be resilient, so that we wouldn't have the intermittent outages that we are having.
The Electricity Company of Ghana has meanwhile asked customers in the Ashanti region to cope with the recent power outages until December this year. Managing Director Kwame Agyeman-Budu says the company is working with Gridco and the Energy Ministry to correct anomalies in the system. He confirmed a drop in the water level of the Bui Hydro Power Station is one of the reasons accounting for the challenges. Live FM's Erastus Asaridonko filed this report.
Recent power outages in Kumasi and its environs have caused public uproar. But ECG Chief Executive Officer Kwame Agyeman-Budu says the company cannot give a scheduled timetable even for the peak of its systemic power cuts.
For authority, I can tell Ghanaians that we have no generation problem. We rather have system challenges. The problem here in the Ashanti region is system challenges, whereby the 161 kV transmission line is overloaded. Gridco is working on the lines, so they will come and tell us that ECG, we are going to work on this side of your area. We need you to reduce load by this amount. Therefore, we will notify our cherished customers. Until that, you cannot give any timetable during the peak hours, which is from 7 to 9. Roughly. So all that we plead to the public that around that time, if unfortunate happens that your light goes off, please bear with Gridco and ECG.
At the press conference, he cleared the air on the cause of these outages.
Gridco 161 kV transmission line is overloaded, and this 161 kV line serves our red box supply point, and it goes all the way to the north. Now, short-term measures, these are within 3 to 6 months time frame. We are replacing our multi-jointed cables from Angomaso to Buodi and from Buodi to Kase. Creation of additional bay at Kontanase for second circuit from Achakrom to be connected. Replacement of a damaged bus bar at Asichem Primary Substation. And when we come to medium-term measures, the creation of a feeder from Angomaso Substation to Airport, runabout substation here where we are now, and also completion of express feeder from Faude to Agona switching station, and we are about 55% completion. And in conclusion, we are working very hard with Gridco to solve the problems by the end of this year. Therefore, we seek the cooperation of all our cherished customers and the public to support us in this time of need.
Until these systemic challenges are fixed, hopefully by the end of this year, the outages should be expected. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Kumasi.
And joining me via Zoom for more is Executive Director of Africa Center for Energy Policy, Ben Boakye. I'm grateful for your time. Now, the Gridco cites low levels of water at the Bui Dam and also construction at some sites. But many think the problem is actually far more bigger than this. What's the reality, Mr. Boakye?
Thanks, Aisha. If you can hear me, I think, there are problems that go beyond just the level of water in the Bui Dam. They contradict themselves by also indicating that, the lines that are actually transmit power to Kumasi and its environment are actually not, able to do so because, the voltage requirement in the area has outgrown the lines. So it's either you're fixing those lines or you are adding more generation locally. And I think there are problems at both ends. They need to bring a bigger line that can wheel, huge amount of power from the west to the central part of the country. And that has delayed. That hasn't followed the schedule because GRICO for all these years have known that they needed to invest. As the city grows, as Kumasi grows, you need to prepare for that expansion. And they haven't adequately invested over the years to be able to address these challenges as we have it. So it's going to take a while to be able to now invest and be able to address these challenges immediately. So this is where we are at this point. And I think that honesty to really, engage the public to say that, yes, we didn't invest as we should, but into the future we'll be able to do that and stay to that promise is what is required at this point.
Now, GRIDCO suggests that with what we're facing now, we would have to endure this for just some few months and indicates that in Kumasi, it may travel all the way to December. But from what you know, how long are we to endure this? All right, so Ben Boakye is right, so he's back online. Hello, Mr. Boakye. I was asking about how long you foresee we would endure this problem. Mr. Boakye, kindly unmute for me.
Right. Okay, so I was saying that this is a function of investment and depending on how much money we want to put in at this point to ensure that the projects that are outlined can actually come on stream on time is what would determine whether we'll be able to do it this year or next year. And remember that this investment have been hanging for so long. GRICO doesn't get the adequate financing it requires. A lot of the suppliers are indebted to them. They also owe. So how you fix that, in the short to medium term to allow those critical infrastructure to be developed will determine whether we'll be out of this wood this year or next year. But it all depends on investment.
But though GRIDCO is unable to provide timetable for this kind of power cuts, there are those who feel we are back to the days of Dumso. How serious is this problem? Compared to where we're coming from?
No, it depends on your definition of Dumso. And I think government definition of Dumso is that you don't have enough generation. And because we have enough generation, then it means we don't have Dumso. But lights are going off in various localities. So it depends on which definition you believe. I appreciate the challenge of putting out a timetable because when it has to do with the transmission line, it's really a function of the demand. So if today the demand is X, and GRICO can take the X, then there is no problem. But if demand goes to Y, and then GRICO cannot take that load, then you have a problem. So maybe an indication of where to go off when the demand outstrips the capacity of the transmission system will be all right, like they did in Berekum, where they provided an indication of some areas that will go off in specific times when the voltage was, the demand was higher than what the system can actually provide. It will help. You may not even take my light, but if I'm aware that you may take it, that helps me to plan for it.
I'm grateful for your time. Mr. Ben Boakye is Executive Director of ASEP. Now, residents of Chirase and the Etrima Nwabija South District are demanding the area be linked to the national grid in order to help drive growth. They argue the lack of electricity has impeded their children's education and hindered economic development. Kofi Asare visited the community and has filed this report.
Dorothy Kia, a 14-year-old girl, is doing her homework in the dark. She and her siblings will revise their notes before going to bed with the aid of this torchlight. For Treyasi GHS Form 3 students, this situation has become routine as BCE approaches.
The torch here is just one, and all the children gather around me to study, but I am ahead of them. This makes me lose concentration when studying.
Since there is only one torchlight in the house, her mother, Amecha, will have to give up her night duties to care for her child.
It is this same torch I use for my chores. If I am not done, she cannot study too.
Dorothy and her mother are two examples of how people of this community are impacted by the lack of electricity. Performance in the Basic Education Certificate examination at Treyasi GHS has been discouraging. In the absence of computers, this is how students are learning the ICT subject. Performance in the subject stands at 51.5% in the last BCE. These students preparing for the upcoming BCE are afraid.
In the exam, we could be asked to draw a mouse, which we have not seen before.
From the drawing, I see computer as just boxes. We need a real computer.
Opoku Boyne is the assistant head teacher.
When you give homework, you expect the student to go home and do it. Here's the case that they don't have the electricity in the house. So how do you expect the child to do the homework? You go and sleep over the book and bring it back to you. We teach the ICT in vain because we only do the theory aspect. So when the electricity is here, we'll be able to have the computers and learn so that we can also compete with those in the cities.
Interestingly, electricity poles have been erected for more than 10 years. 2 years ago, high-tension cable extensions were connected from Nunebehi to other towns with a promise to connect them to the national grid before December 2020.
We were all expectant of electricity when the cables were mounted, but nothing has been done since. We have waited in vain. People were ecstatic when we were informed about the electricity. I even gathered my savings for Christmas to buy a television set, but the electricity never came.
4 other surrounding communities are also in a similar situation, but yet to be connected to the national grid. Unit Committee Chairman Kofi Teria says the community continues to wait for connectivity.
We were heavily promised of electric connection, which made most of us wire our homes. After the elections, that was it.
The local assembly declined commenting on the plight of the community. Children, like Ekuya and her classmates, will continue to struggle to study without electricity until the grid is connected. Furthermore, these communities' night economies will continue to be affected. A report by Kofi Asare.
And so to come in this bulletin, commuters who ply the Accra Plough Highway lament what they say is a chronic vehicular congestion at the Kpone barrier. They say needs to be addressed as soon as possible.
A simple traffic lights at this junction will solve the problem, but it's never happened. I've lived here for about 4 years.
There are suggestions as to what could be done.
The government ought to arrange and have an independent road that would deal with like a slip, a lay-by, or a bypass.
There's more when we return from the break.
Hello, welcome to business. The National Petroleum Authority, NPA, has revealed that the new premix fuel policy will save government 100 million cedis of subsidies each and every year. According to the director in charge of pricing, planning and research, Alpha Welbeck, the new policy will also boost the fishing industry.
what we are looking at is, instead of the 100% gasoline bit, this time we are going to use a blend of condensate and gasoline. And it's going to, with a marine mix as well. And we realize that this is going to save, if it's implemented, looking at the price of the condensate, this is going to save government about 100 million Ghana cedis per year. As we speak now, the subsidy on premix fuel, government, and the fisher folks, the fishing industry is like one-on-one. I mean, government has serious interest in the fishing industry. So there's this policy to subsidize premix fuel. And the current subsidy on premix fuel annually is 240 million Ghana cedis. If we are able to implement the use of condensate, a blend of the condensate with the gasoline, government is going to save about 100 million Ghana cedis in subsidies. So this is a research we've done, and we've engaged the stakeholders, we've engaged the fishing industry in all this. But where we have reached now is to have, in fact, we've even done a pilot and would be engaging the stakeholders further, so we move up from there.
Well, we now bring you a video of the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, in fine fettle and positive spirit, returning to work for the very first time since he was sworn in by President Akufo-Addo. And of course, remember that he also had been away for a long time in the U.S. for a medical review following some COVID-19 complications. Here's a clip on his first day at work.
A man who believes strongly in the state, a man who believes strongly in protecting the public purse, a man who has focus, a man who has vision, and you have helped us to drive the economic management of this nation to a stage where the whole world sees Ghana as a beacon of hope in the sub-region.
We really want to welcome you back. We are happy to have you back. We missed you. We miss your philosophical.
Thank Parliament for the approval and certainly the President for finding the confidence. And the confidence, really in me is really reflecting on the confidence in the ministry. And I think we should share that and then move on strongly. Yeah? Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
And that was the first day at work for the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. Away from that, Premier Lottery Company has recorded 6 mega wins this week, with 5 people taking home 2,000 cedis, while 1 person backed 20,000 cedis. Here's more.
77 is a lottery company that rewards those who stake with various amount of money every week. At the presentation of the check prizes to the 6 winners, Benjamin Kojo Adukpo, who hails from Matayeko Afienya, said his 20,000 cedis unique prize will aid him support his home and complete his pending projects. Isaac Ewa, a winner of 2,000 cedis also spoke to Joy Business.
Back, about 6 weeks back, my winnings were always just 10 cedis, 20 cedis, which was always paid into my mobile money wallet anyway. And so I must confess that this very last week, I almost felt that maybe this was my last time of ever going to play again, because it was always small winnings, so I wasn't really enthused. But then when the draw was made and the winnings, I was announced to be a winner of 20,000 cedis. At first, I couldn't believe my eyes, but I had a call confirming it, and I was said, wow. This one, I think I must come here to really verify whether. I mean, I'm very happy that they have introduced this, and that at least I've come to see, and I'm now believing that yes, it's true. So people out there should be able to. I'm also encouraging others to get involved and start playing.
And it is real. At first, I thought it was a lie. When I told my friends, they said, "Oh, this one is 419." But until maybe I come here and maybe they see me on TV, they believe that it is real. At my first, I thought it was not real.
Richard Akotobanfo, head of customer experience, spoke to Joy Business.
This very Saturday, Star 787 Hash is promising you 186,000 Ghana cedis jackpot value. With only 5 Ghana cedis, you can take home this big amount, and it could change your life. Also, don't forget that we have many numerous cash prizes in the coming month, and that can be your turning moment as well. So just dial Star 787 Hash now, and then play, and you can also change your life as well.
Good evening. Welcome to Sports on Prime. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Yesterday, the football governing body in the country, that's the Ghana Football Association, rescinded their decision to admit spectators to match venues following further consultative meetings with the National COVID-19 Task Force. But Chief Executive Officer of 11 Wonders, Albert Kome, says the government's decision shows that they do not have football at the heart as an industry that contributes to the economy of Ghana. There's more in the following report.
Strictly to the national COVID-19 protocols, approved GFA COVID-19 protocols, and all existing modalities for playing matches behind closed doors. But many Premier League clubs are not happy with the decision. Here is Chief Executive Officer of Techiman 11 Wonders, Albert Kome.
Very, very, let me say, shocking and worrying in the sense that clubs have suffered enough. And if this thing continues, it's very clear that if you don't take time, some will go bankrupt and they have to leave the scene. The clubs are suffering because the government throws anything at us. As you know very well that when we played the first round, most of the time we were playing behind the closed door. So when the FA announced that the 25% that the FA took, they are giving it to us back, we're very happy. Even that is not 25%. It's really, really disturbing. If the government goes there, it's insensitive to our plight. And I must say that it's unfortunate that this one is coming.
Funds have been seen inside several league centres in the country despite a ban in place. And for Albert Kome, clubs are not to blame.
The architectural design of various stadiums are different. If you sit in Accra and you don't look at the numbers that enter the stadium, and you look at that of Techiman, you'll be making mistakes. People scale over the wall. People climb trees and enter. We're having all sorts of problems. At the point, we're wondering because even as we're not taking money, funds were coming in, and they'll conclude that you've taken money. Come and put soldiers over there.
The explanation from the government COVID-19 task force was that the GFA did not engage them before deciding that they will admit fans into the stadium. That's why they've kicked against the decision of the Ghana Football Association to allow fans into the stadium. Now let's move on and talk about a debutant in the Black Stars. He made his debut against South Africa when the senior national team came up against the Bafana in an AFCON qualifier. He is Emmanuel Jesse. He says that he feels honored after receiving a shirt from his idol Cristiano Ronaldo. Jesse and Ronaldo squared off in the Italian top flight during Spezia's 3-0 defeat. It was the second meeting between the pair, as the first encounter ended in a 4-1 win in favor of the Bianconeri. During the initial clash between the two clubs, Jesse wanted to swap jerseys with the Portuguese superstar, but didn't get his wish. The 27-year-old finally got his wish when Ronaldo handed him his jersey at halftime. There's more in the following report.
Yeah, as you said, for me it's an idol, and this too is a dream that came true because he's my idol, and I dreamed that I wanted to play one day in the field with him, but I didn't think so soon, and it happened. And I remember in the first game I went to him, I talked to him, and unfortunately he couldn't give me the jersey. But in the second game, before we started the game, he just came to me. He said, "Hey Jesse, how are you?" I was shocked.
He remembered you?
Yeah, I was shocked because I say, how can the whole Cristiano Ronaldo remember me? Because it's a long time, because home and away game is long distance. Maybe he forgets that he promised a jersey. So when he came and he hugged me and he said, how are you, and things, like, I was very happy, very, very happy. And even during the game, he was nervous because first half we played very well and we were 0-0. He hit a post. So after the first half, I saw him running into the dressing room. I said, okay, then my shirt, I won't get the shirt. But when I walked through my dressing room, I saw him waiting for me, and I was shocked. I was very shocked because a big player like this with this caliber waiting for me to give me the jersey, I was very, very happy and very, very proud. So, and after the game too, we met. We were in the dressing room talking, having a chat. A very great player and a great person.
That's all time will permit us here for sports. I'm Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Thanks very much for your company. There's more sport on myjoyonline.com/sports. You can also follow us on all our social media handles. Joy Sports GH on Twitter. There's also Joy Sports GH on Instagram and Joy Sports GH on Facebook. At exactly 9 p.m., we'll bring you the mid-season edition of GPL Primer, a show that is dedicated to reviewing and previewing the first and second round of the Ghana Premier League. Thanks very much for your company.
Market leaders in the Greater Accra region have pledged to support the Make Accra Work project, which seeks to address the myriad of challenges the region is facing. At the first media engagement organized with the AMA to update various market leaders of the plan, Regional Minister Henry Quartey said the project will focus on sanitation, easing congestion and hawking on the streets. The ministry has given the market leaders 2 weeks' notice to engage the traders before the commencement of the operation. There's more in this report.
Hawking on the streets, selling on the pavement, congestion in the markets and poor sanitation are some pressing issues the Accra Must Work project is seeking to address. The Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Quartey says the practice where some principal streets and lorry stations in Accra have been turned into markets, while commercial drivers have also turned streets into mini transport stations, drawing large crowds that spill onto the streets, creating chaos and congestion, will be addressed. Leaders of the various market centers have been given 2 weeks to engage their members.
Increasingly, market women and petty traders are beginning to occupy the main streets within the Greater Accra region. I say so because it cuts across, and we are taking steps to decongest the streets to allow free flow of vehicles and traffic. So today we have engaged with the Queen Mothers. We have made a passionate appeal to them so they will join me and the government and the assemblies in carrying out this exercise. As I said in the press soiree, there is no intention at all to make this exercise like a Rambo style. or for that matter, bring hardship to our market women or traders. It is only an appeal to them so they move off the streets and they can carry on to do their businesses and trading in the designated marketplaces. However, if after several engagements they continue to make it difficult for us, then we will get the MMDAs to use or to, as it were, enforce the local bylaws.
The leaders, who took turns to also outline challenges they face at the markets, pledged to support the ministry in its quest to keep the city clean and orderly. Mercy Nijani speaks on behalf of the Greater Accra Market Women Association. She says the directive is welcoming and pledged to support the assembly to make Accra work.
Because of the street market, nobody wants to come into the market to buy. And they have turned the markets into an wholesale. They come in the morning very early to collect their goods, send them outside, sell. When they finish in the evening, then they bring their goods back to come and put it in the market. Please, the market is for trading. It's not at wholesale. I think that 2 weeks notice is for announcement. So with the vans going around with the assembly members and the DCs, I think it will be okay. Already they know that trading outside the market is not allowed. So it's not a new thing. They know. Usually when it is coming to Xmas time, then they allow them to sit because they will be shouting, if you sack us, we won't vote. If you sack us, we won't vote. Now they have finished voting. Please, they should go to the markets. What I'm really afraid of is those who sit in the center of the streets. Unfortunately, they take their bags to the cars. So if a car is coming with a problem, how can they see? Please, we shouldn't sit down and wait for something to happen.
The Greater Accra Regional Ministry says it intends to get all metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies to enforce their bylaws and hopefully get people to do the right thing.
A civil engineer, Engineer Abdullah Mahama, says a dedicated lane for articulated trucks and other heavy-duty vehicles on the Accra-Plau Highway is a solution to the daily congestion at the Bombaria section of the road. It's also urging government to engage real estate companies responsible for the construction of gated communities springing up beyond the Bombaria. This proposal comes even as motorists who ply the route call on authorities to immediately find a solution to the chronic traffic congestion there. Some persons who use the stretch say they sometimes spend close to 2 hours covering a distance that should ordinarily be done in 10 minutes. Maxwell Agbagba was there and reports the situation often degenerates into chaos.
It's just about 4 p.m. The rush hour has started. It's thick traffic situation here. Many of the people who are using this stretch have been in traffic for hours, and they are calling on authorities to fix the problem here. Let's see if this one will talk to us. Hi, mommy, what's your name?
My name is Rose Darling.
Okay, Rose Darling, how long have you been in traffic?
For almost an hour and a half. I think they should find a way of solving this because it's too much. We stay in traffic for sometimes 3 hours just from, motorway to Pram Junction. 3 hours. It's not fair. Okay. So they should do something about it.
I've heard a lot of incredible stories, about the traffic situation here and how traffic can build up for 3 hours. People can spend 3 hours in traffic for, a distance that on a normal day should take them like, let's say, 5 minutes.
For the past 1 hour and 35 minutes.
Okay. What do you think authorities should do to fix the problem?
Expansion. We need road expansion and the traffic at the junction.
Because this is a busy industrial enclave, you have a lot of trucks plying these routes, and quite a number of intersections as well on this stretch. They say that is also contributed to the problem. So on this main stretch where I'm standing, there's an intersection that connects to Bone and its adjoining communities. If you head straight, you go into Dawenya, Pram, and then Aflau.
and they tell me that that contributes to the traffic situation here. Well, okay, we just bumped into this. And these are some of the things you see in this bumper to bumper traffic when you have a lot of cars driving like really very close.
Master, yes, the traffic here is too much. The traffic here is too much. So we need a serious help from the authorities. Okay. The authorities in charge must come into our help. Other than that, we are suffering. We, the people that fly this road, we are always in trouble. See what happened.
What happened to your car?
Yes, I'm joining, and for him to understand things, he scratched my back, and he's trying to tell me I'm at fault.
Oh.
So I don't know if you people can.
Okay, wait, what happened?
On the shoulder road. Me, I'm in there. I'm in there. See, the drug carriage my 2-2. We need 2-2 mile. What is there?
Traffic road doors. So
my name is Aute Ruben.
Okay, how long have you been in traffic?
About 2 hours now from Gulf Junction to this place.
Okay, ordinarily, how many minutes should you use for that stretch?
Normally, we use 10 minutes from motor runabout to Community 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we need a traffic light here. About 2 hours.
2 hours? You do this every day?
No, really. I work from home, so once in a while I get to town. But if I should be working regularly,
okay.
That's there.
But how bad is the situation here?
It's gotten worse because we have more estates in the area clustered around, so it's gotten worse.
Okay.
You can spend about 2 to 3 hours in and out.
Wow.
So you are talking about 6 hours a day. I want them to have an exchange here, interchange.
Okay. How long have you been in traffic?
Almost 45 minutes.
45 minutes. Is this a situation every day?
It's even worse than this on other days. We need this place to be widened a bit so that we can get moving. Mind you, from here till Pram Pram Junction has now become a very thick residential area. Yeah. So the earlier they do something about it, the better.
Okay. And you think authorities have not done enough?
No, they have not done anything about it.
Okay. What's your name?
I is Joseph.
How long have you been in traffic?
2 hours now.
2 hours? You do this every day? Well, he says every day the traffic situation is like this.
Difficult. Dual carriage to Chopoli. Camille free.
Okay. Well, he wants an expansion of the road from this place to Chopoli. He says that would ameliorate the situation. That would bring them some relief here. You can see this man cleaning his face. He's been in traffic for a long time. Sir, what's your name?
My name is John Jane.
Okay. How long have you been in traffic?
More than 1 hour now.
Wow. And you do this every day?
Every day.
Wow.
Imagine, every day.
Wow. What do you think is the problem?
The problem is the joint here, the T junction.
Okay.
To B5 and this thing. We need overhead and expansion of the road.
Okay, thank you. How long have you been in traffic?
Oh, almost an hour from the motor runabout. It's terrible.
Okay. It's terrible, huh?
So bad. I think that a simple traffic light at this junction will solve the problem, but it's never happened. I've lived here for about 4 years. We don't have a traffic light. It's so bad.
The situation here is very, very, very tedious. About 3 days ago, from morning to evening, from morning to up to now, the traffic is very bad. They have to do something about it for us.
Let's now hear from civil engineer Abdullahi Mahama, who has been proffering solutions on the polls.
One of the things that we need to look at is the development springing up like mushrooms within the area. The estates which are springing up in those areas, it is about time that government decides to sit down with them. In elsewhere, once they are entities like their institutions or their companies, they would have to have a specific arrangement with government. Some quota have to be paid from them to be added to the advancement of whatever is happening. But let's look at the critical situation there. I don't understand why we still don't have a signalized intersection at the black spot areas. I don't understand why. Number two, I realize that on the highway, the acceleration and deceleration lanes are not existent. In that case, when a trailer is moving from, say, COM25 coming towards the motor roundabout and has to turn, make a U-turn, it turns and takes the whole two carriageway, thereby bringing the vehicular movement to a halt. That cannot be on that highway. And so if we do not start to look at how we are going to do the arterial roads, number one, we are talking about an industrial hub. An industrial hub, the government ought to arrange and have an independent road that would deal with like a slip, a lay-by, or a bypass that would handle all the voluminous traffic, especially with all those railways, the trailers. Otherwise, this issue will not be solved by just a signalized intersection.
Scientists and members of the academia have made a strong push for the passage of a research and innovation fund so that Ghana will no longer have to depend on other countries for medical and scientific solutions. The bill has been in Parliament for over 3 years now with no attention from the legislature, a development that raises red flags for these scientists who say it could spell doom for the nation in the area of scientific research and innovation. The call comes at a time the country is counting on the WHO for vaccines from the COVAX facility to continue inoculation of its citizens against COVID-19. At a visual roundtable discussion on vaccines and control of infectious diseases, facts and fears, Director of the West African Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, WACBIP, Professor Gordon Awendare, former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ernest Aidje, and Secretary General of African Research Universities Association, ARUA, and Professor Kwejo Ansakoram, Immediate Past Director, Clinical Trials Unit, Department of Epidemiology, Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research. They argued Ghana has the capacity to develop its own vaccine.
We are putting a lot of pressure on African scientists to go deeply into vaccine development research. It's not only in Ghana, but in many different places in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Uganda, South Africa especially. South Africa has taken the lead in Africa, and they've been involved in a lot of the clinical trials that led to the COVID-19 vaccine. So there's a lot of effort currently taking place. What we need to do more is encourage our governments to support the research. Gordon Awendare is here, and we are supporting the work that he's doing. We are supporting similar work in Uganda at Makerere University. How can African governments join us to push the scientists? Everybody talks about they need to have an African vaccine. Yes, we support that. We believe strongly in that. But you can't do it without the African governments. African governments must devote more and more resources to research. And in that research, more and more to vaccine research. It's very, very important. So the scientists will write good applications for grants. They will get some grants. But what we need is a lot more money than many of the foundations are willing to provide. So it's for the governments in Africa working together through the African Union or any other entity to put more and more into the universities. That is the only way you can assure that within the next 4 or 5 years, there will be African-developed vaccines for use in Africa.
Now, most of the research we do, we apply for grants from other countries and donor agencies, and we do our research. And that type of, those type of grants are for specific research purposes. In order to build critical mass of, capacity in terms of infrastructure that you need to make your own vaccines, that has to come from government investment. And I know it's not possible that every country in Africa would build capacity to make vaccines. Indeed, it's not necessary. We don't need to do that. But if the African Union will come together and support various, a number of groups or a number of institutions to build the required capacity to do this.
Africa has to be serious about this. NIH, National Institute of Health America, is built for them, and they look at priority areas and fund. And some of it spilled to us, not because they are interested in us, but because they think if they extend their funding, it will benefit them. So Ghana and Africa has to identify priority areas and sink in funds. Now we are talking about vaccines. Without funding, we cannot do anything. So it's important that our countries are set up funds specific for specific purposes. And then scientists are encouraged to do competitive grant writing to access them. Scientists are not asking for free money, but we should know where there is money so that we can access the money.
It's been a month since Ghana began its COVID-19 vaccination program as part of government's effort to curb the spread of COVID-19. Though the program has coincided with a decline in the country's cases, health experts say it is too early to attribute it to the inoculation. Here's a team lead at the COVID-19 Treatment Center of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Ahiagle.
In January and February, we have a surge of COVID-19 cases, severe and critical. But in March, we saw a decline in numbers. Hitherto, our ICU beds were fully occupied. But in March, we were not getting full capacity. So then after the vaccine came in, so before the vaccine came in, our ICUs were not full like before in January and February. And since then, I think we are not getting full capacity. Even though over last weekend we had a number of people coming on admission, about 4 or 5 people. They have been referred from other facilities. So there's a steady decline, that's what I would say. It's not sharp, there's a steady decline. So, but all the same, we shouldn't lose our guard. We continue to do all that we know to do as far as the protocols are concerned. So the vaccine effect, I will not say, it's early to say it's the effect of the vaccine because the numbers were already declining before the vaccines came. So let's wait and see. Maybe after the second dose, which is supposed to be 8 weeks after the first dose, to see if the numbers will decline further. Then we can make an assertion that as a result of the vaccine, the numbers have gone down.
It's been 3 months since he took over the reins of Ghana's 8th Parliament. One cannot forget the chaos and drama that characterized his election to the position. Right Honorable Alban Bagbin, by all standards, has made and will continue to make history as he continually ensures he is in the news for one thing or the other once he is in the seat presiding over proceedings. My colleague Emefa Pau looks back on his handling of the first meeting of the 8th Parliament.
Historic, dramatic and chaotic, 3 words that aptly describes the night he was voted to become a Speaker of Parliament.
And that I will preserve, protect
and defend
the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
The Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Historic because Mr. Bagbin etched his name in memory as the first Speaker of Ghana's Parliament from an opposition party. Mr. Bagbin polled 138 votes against his predecessor, Professor Michael Quay's 136, with 1 legislator failing to vote. Chaos and drama burst forth from the confusion caused by NDC MPs when they occupy the majority side of Parliament.
Our status has been transformed from a minority to the majority, and so we are taking our rightful seats.
Arguments about the eligibility of the Esin North MP-elect, heated quarrels about the mode of voting, and then there was Carlos Ahinkra and the military invasion of the House.
Just asking on Facebook. It's terrible. Now they've brought in military officers, fully armed, into the Chamber of Parliament. I don't know how this is going to end.
Hours after that showdown, this happened.
We also have with us Her Excellency Ramatu Bawumia.
Whilst acknowledging dignitaries present after the swearing-in ceremony of Nana Akufo-Addo on January 7, the Speaker mentioned Wan Ramatu as the spouse of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, sparking controversy on social media. The office of the Vice President later debunked those rumors. What is more intriguing is Alban Bagbin's quest to make a statement that he is and will be no one's puppet as long as he remains the Right Honourable Speaker of Ghana's 8th Parliament. First, he incurred the wrath of his party, the NDC. Then he threatened to block the approval of the 2020 budget if the executive does not restore budget cuts for the legislature and judiciary.
The budget is not for the executive. We have the final power to approve or disapprove. If you do otherwise, I, as your speaker, will not append any letter for submission to the president for his assent. I mean what I say.
There was subsequent firing of letters between the executive and the legislature. And then this happened.
On account of what has been happening earlier, the secretary wrote the letter. I think it's a yesterday issue. We have now agreed that the proper thing should be done. In fact,
so the secretary was not seized with the full facts when he wrote the letter to Parliament?
It would seem to me.
Remember this?
Please, I have a position in Ghana. Number 3. What is your number?
Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin reminded Osei Mensah-Bonsu, the majority leader, of the difference in their portfolios as far as leadership in Ghana is concerned. What is your number, majority leader? We're still waiting.
Your number 3 is not in government. No, I didn't say in government. I said in the country. That is what is your position in the country?
My position, Mr. Speaker, is that my position is a versatile utility
number
which may have much more significance than a fixated player.
Your number is what? We are waiting.
Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, also gave the Health Minister, Kweku Agyeman-Menu, a 2-hour ultimatum to appear before Parliament to answer some questions or face the necessary consequences.
I direct that the Minister appears before Parliament within 2 hours. The reason he has given for his inability is completely disrespectful of Parliament.
While at it, a sitting General Secretary of the NDC, who is also a former MP for Wenchi West, has been appointed to the Parliamentary Services Board, plus the appointment of some former NDC MPs to key positions in the Speaker's office. There have been concerns about no woman being appointed to that board. One thing is certain: Speaker Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin did not come to play. We wait to see what happens in the next meeting of Ghana's 8th Parliament.
Ask Bagbin, that's the man. Now, accommodation continues to be a huge challenge for most teachers posted to rural schools, especially hard-to-reach communities. Most teachers posted to these schools refuse postings, and this, in many cases, continue to affect academic work. Today, we take you to the Talata DA Primary School, where the head teacher has led an initiative with the students to build a teacher's bungalow to help retain teachers posted to his school. Northern Regional Correspondent Martina Bugri has more.
Brick by brick, layer by layer, they started from the beginning to the end. Alabami Nuruddin Damba, head teacher of the DA Primary School, led his pupils to build the structure. In 2008, having graduated from school, he was posted to Nauyili in Tatale. Without accommodation, he had to travel several kilometers from Zabzugu to Tatale to teach. That was not a pleasant encounter.
From the first experience when I was first posted in 2008, I have to ride my bicycle from Zabzugu to Nauyili for 45 minutes before I got to school. By 7, I'll be in school, and I'll be the last person to leave school. So what I went through, I did not want any teacher to also face that same experience.
Having trekked long distance and knowing how demoralizing it was, he pledged to build their quarters so that the teachers would have accommodation. Mr. Damba proposed the idea to the school's PTA, and they accepted.
When some of the teachers who were posted to my school called and asked for accommodation, I thought that it is necessary for us to put up a structure for them to stay. Then, based on this one, we thought that when they are happy and they are comfortable, the students will be happy when they teach. What actually motivated me to study constructions may come from 3 dimensions. The first dimension is my past experience as a teacher, a newly posted teacher. And the second inspiration from the student, that is the happiness of the students. And the third one is the happiness of the teachers.
This has helped retain 3 of the teachers posted to his school, and quarters would accommodate 2 of the 3.
The reason most of the teachers doesn't accept posting to these areas includes the poor nature of the roads, lack of accommodations, lack of amenities such as water, potable drinking water, electricity, and so forth. These are some of the reasons some of the teachers doesn't want to accept posting to this area. At the moment, only 3 teachers will be housed. We needed more than that, but due to lack of funds, this is the only one we can't construct for now. So, in short, only 3 teachers will be housed for now. We are appealing to government to help us get accommodation, help us get furniture and textbooks, so that as we have accommodation to stay in, when we get back to class, we'll be able to use the textbooks and the furniture for the teaching and learning.
We're still live on Joy News Prime. We'll bring you business shortly after this break with Charles Aite.
Yeah, welcome back to Business with me, Charles Aite. The whole airport located in the Volta region is expected to undergo a commercial flight testing exercise in 2 weeks' time. The Transport Minister, Kweku Ofori-Asiamah, announced this after inspecting the facility on Tuesday. The African World Airline would operate 2 flights per week, that's from Monday and Friday, possibly at a one-way fare of 100 Ghana cedis. Here's more.
The $25 million Ho Airport, designed to hold 2 medium-sized aircraft at a time with a passenger capacity of 100, was completed in 2017. In September 2020, the African World Airline announced its readiness to begin operations at the facility after carrying out feasibility studies on the safety and economic prospects of the airport. Given this, the Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, the Transport Minister, Kweku Ofori-Asiamah, and an entourage from the Ghana Airport Company Limited, Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, and other relevant institutions toured the facility to ascertain its readiness for commercial flights. A full complement of communication and weather systems, an X-ray machine, among other requisite machinery, has been installed to ensure a smooth operation of the facility. Mr. Asiamah, who expressed satisfaction at the level of preparation, indicated that the government aims to establish a pilot training institution at the airport in the future.
We are trying to put this airport to other use, to training of pilots and other things. We are in discussion with the private sector people that yes, we have a facility here which we can use to train our pilots. So we are also discussing with them. A group has contacted us. We are having a discussion with them. So apart from using it for a commercial purpose, we are also going to use this airport, if all things being equal, for training of pilots. Instead of people going to Florida and other places to go and learn piloting, we believe that this airport is situated in such a way that we can use this place to train our pilots. So definitely we are going to put this airport to a very good use. But what I need from you, and your elders, so please try and protect this land for us, because in future it will be put to good use. Our had promised. We are in discussion with them. All the negotiations have been done. All the planning work is done. They've promised us that in 2 weeks' time, they will do a flying test. Then they will start the commercial operation to Ho Airport. I needed to be here to acquaint myself with the facilities available, if indeed it will enable them to fly to Ho. And I think that for the round that they've taken me around, I can confidently say that yes, we are ready to receive commercial flight to Ho.
Dr. Lecha implored people in the Volta region to patronize the airport.
The patronage is good. More airlines will come. And when the state airline also starts, it will be one of the routes. We can fly from Ho to Tamale, Ho to Kumasi, Ho to Sunyani, Ho to Wa, Ho to Takoradi. Because there are a lot of people, we are close to the border. A lot of people who travel from Aflao to Elubo, to Cote d'Ivoire. They can come to Ho here. We can have bus shuttle services, bring them to the airport here to fly to Takoradi or to fly to Kumasi or Tamale. There are many traders who go to Lome, to Kumasi. So it's up to us. We don't just sit back and be happy that we have an airport. We should take advantage of the airport to improve on our livelihood, improve on our business. So instead of driving our cars and being in traffic every day in Accra, you take the flight, get to the airport in Accra, pick a taxi to the ministry, do your business, pick a taxi back to the airport, and then you are back to home. So as for me, I'll be parking my car here. I take a flight to Accra and come back. So
the warlord of the Asokli state, Togbe Laklehowusu XII, underscored the important role the airport would play in the socio-economic development of the Volta region.
And we believe it's going to open the gate for us to be able to access the city for businesses and pleasure. And then we expect this will open the gate also for tourists to come and enjoy all the tourist facilities we have in our region. And also being close to our neighbors, we believe in future arrangements will be made so that flights from our neighboring countries, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, will also come here. And then maybe in future, we can also fly from here to Tamale and Kumasi.
Fred Kwame Asai, Joy News, Ho.
We still stay on aviation-related stories because the Transport Minister has warned private developers who are encroaching on the Ghana Airport Company's land to stop immediately. He says if potential expansion work necessitates the removal of buildings, no compensation will be given to any developer. Mr. Oforie-Asiamah said this when he toured the ongoing construction of the Kumasi International Airport expansion, from where Prince Appiah reports.
Work on the second phase of the Kumasi International Airport expansion is progressing steadily. Currently, all the concrete columns of the new terminal have been erected and the withholding wall is under construction. Most of the concrete works have also been completed. Transport Minister Kweku Oforie-Asiamah visited the facility as part of his first official tour since assuming office. The minister says the government will not pay any compensation to those encroaching on airport lands.
So here too, I want the media to also support us, to drum home to them that look, this government land, if we are able to get a better land or a vast area of land, we can build a better airport to serve everybody. So when people think that they can then come in at this time, both so that government will pay compensation, I will disappoint them. That will not happen. I will disappoint them. And disappoint them big time. So I want to send them this signal that government will not pay compensation for anybody who encroach on this land on the basis that the person has put up a building. If you know that this is the Ghana Airport Company land, please don't build on it, because this land is for a purpose.
By July this year, a greater portion of the work is expected to be completed, while the rest will be done by June 2022. During his inspection of the project, Mr. Oforie-Asiamah said the speed of work tells the project will be completed on schedule.
What I've seen here today is very encouraging. The contractor has assured me that though the phase 3 has been brought forward, they are on time. They can complete the project on schedule. The phase 2 comprises of the terminal and the terminal building. The phase 3, we have the apron and the runway. So we want to put them together. That's what phase 1, phase 2. Which costs about 125 million United States, some of my friends will say choppable dollars. And I think that is a good thing for us. We need to finish it as quickly as possible so that we can reap the benefit. What I've seen here today gives me an encouragement that we can really meet the timeline that we set for ourselves.
When completed, the facelift will bring the Kumasi Airport to an international standard. Meanwhile, the Ghana Airport Company City project will start this year. Prince Appiah reporting.
And that's how we end business. Sports is up next this day.
You're welcome to the second installment on Sports on Prime. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. In the next 15 minutes, the big night, the night where we are going to review and preview the The second round of the Ghana Premier League will be on Joy News. It is a 90-minute conversation, a conversation that sought to provide you an idea about some of the things that transpired in the first round of the Ghana Premier League, and also look forward to how the second round will pan out. We'll be speaking to some of the most influential people involved in the administration of football in this country. We'll be speaking to the coaches, players, the referees, the people who make the decisions that matters in the game of football. And two gentlemen who will be driving the conversation for the next 90 minutes is Gary Al-Smith and George Addo Jr. They join me here in the studio just to give us an idea of what to expect in the next few minutes. Gary, first of all, let me come to you. GPL Primer, mid-season edition. What should viewers expect?
Well, you've given us a good gist of what we should. You spoke about coaches, players, and all that. But as the Joy Sports team has come to be known with such special programs, we want to make it more exciting than newsy. You know, Joy News is filled with news almost 24 hours a day. We like to make sports fun, and that's why we will be here. We will inform you, but we'll make sure that you'll be entertained.
And George, just let us have an idea of the viewer at home. How would that viewer feel that tonight is a special night?
Hey, you know what, I'll tell you that since we went off after the first round of the Ghana Premier League, so much has been happening. Quite a number of coaches have left their clubs and are now in new clubs. Players have returned, former players in the Ghana Premier League have returned to the Ghana Premier League. We've had transfers going on. So I'll just tell you, the viewer, that what the information you had after the end of the first round is not quite up to date going into the second round. So we need to update you whilst we address the key issues facing the league to ensure that you can make a proper judgment when the second round begins. Because one or two guys are getting very excited with Karela being on the top, Olympics being second, and all of that. Hold on. After tonight's session, you will now be able to understand what to expect from these clubs, a special one.
A proper judgment will be informed by the people who give you an idea of what the product is all about. And just as they have mentioned, in the next 90 minutes, just stay glued to Joy News, because within that 90 minutes, you will just move on and say that tonight was a night to be part of, because it was a memorable night. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. This is how we wrap the second installment of Sports on Prime. You can have more sports on myjoyonline.com/sports. The show is going to be interactive because all our social media handles are very active. Facebook is going to be live because the show will be there. Twitter, you can tweet at us using the hashtag JoySportsGPL Primer. And then on Instagram, the handle is there. Just go, follow us, and you have every single update that you need on the show. Thanks very much, Gary and George. I appreciate your time here. In the next 10 minutes, just stay glued. We wrap up here. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, and this is the second part of Sports on Prime.
So the rest of our stories, and Tyron Maguire, one of the Rastafarian students refused admission by a Chimota school, has filed a suit at the Human Rights Division of the High Court to enforce his fundamental human rights. According to some court documents cited by Joy News, the applicant is asking the court to declare that the failure or refusal of Achimota School Board of Governors to admit or enroll him on the basis of his Rastafarian religious inclination, beliefs and culture characterized by his keeping of dreadlocks is a violation of his fundamental human rights and freedoms guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution. Reliefs being sought from the Human Rights Court are a lot, and you can log on to myjoyonline.com. That story is there, and you can see all that the Rastafarian student is asking for from the Achimota school. That's it for the bulletin tonight. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.